Hi, this is Marilyn Woodruff with At Knits and Designs, and I'm here today to introduce you to the Summer Breeze tee. This is a very straightforward seamed tee that has a scoop neck. It does feature A-line shaping that is not overly dramatic, but it is noticeable. And this cute little texture panel goes all the way down the front, and then it also is part of the hem. So you can see down here, it comes across the hem. The tee design is sleeveless, but it does include instructions for optional short sleeves that come down to about the middle of the arm, about halfway to the elbow, and you can easily do the sleeves or not. And it has this scoop neck shape. It's not a very deep scoop. It looks deep here, but when you put it on, it's just a little bit deeper than a crew neck by about 2.5, 3 inches. And this neckline, I actually have used the Coco Knits method as a starting point to walk you through how to do the shoulder shaping and the neck shaping at the same time, and be able to build a chart for that you can actually use for any pattern where you're working a neckline. So I'm really glad that this t-shirt has come about. The timing is perfect. Down here in Texas, it is now blazing hot in the middle of summer. And this yarn on this t-shirt is a 50-50 merino cotton blend dyed by a chick that knits. And I've used a lot of merino cotton blends in my knitting life, and this is by far my favorite. This is the first time that I would ever say I worked with a cotton yarn that as I was knitting it, and even as I feel this tee, it didn't feel like cotton on the needles. It felt like merino. It had a lot of give like wool, but this is super lightweight. Just feeling it, I make a larger size, and it's probably the lightest weight knit as far as just overall mass that I've ever made on any garment that includes cotton. So this yarn is so fun to knit with. As soon as I finished this design concept, I picked another color and immediately dove in for an early fall sweater. And I just can't get enough of this yarn. This merino cotton blend is just gorgeous to work with. So I really hope you enjoy working the Summer Breeze tee, and that it helps keep you cool this summer as the temperatures heat up. Happy knitting. So let's talk about the neck and armhole shaping. You can completely do the shaping based only on the pattern, but I have included a table that is derived from the Coco Knits method, and you can actually use this for any pattern that you're trying to do neck and armhole shaping. And I find that it's really helpful when you come up against pattern lines that say things like "at the same time." And so what this will help you do is to have a row by row visual of exactly what you are going to do for neck and armhole shaping. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes walking you through how to use this table. What you see in the table is, starting from the bottom to the top, you actually see these are individual rows of knitting. So row 1, 2, 3. In this particular pattern, right side rows are odd, and even rows are odd side rows are odd numbers, even rows are wrong side rows. And so what you have in the second column is the left armhole, and then the left neck, and the right neck, and the right armhole. So if we look at this as kind of a half and a half type of a view, this is the left half of the front of your top, and this is the right half of the front of your top. And so when we start looking at this, we're going to be looking at what do you need to do on each side. What are you going to do on the right side? What are you going to do on the left side? Where are you starting and where are you ending? And then we're going to fill in the blanks to make your own custom map of what your size will look like. So to do that, we are going to start with our actual pattern. And our pattern works normal up to the where it says continue in stockinette and center panel. And then right below that, you see front armhole shaping. This is where we start using our table. So that's where we're going to start. In order to know where to start, we are going to look at this stitches remaining just above that section. For this example, I'm going to work through size 4. So on size 4, we have 116 stitches on the needles when we are ready to start our armhole shaping. 116 divided by 2 is 58, and therefore the left hand and right hand side have 58 each. So just as a reference to make sure that my numbers are tracking, on the very bottom of my table, I'm just going to write 58 as a reminder to myself. That's where I'm starting. I've got 58 on the left, I've got 58 on the right. So the first thing I see is bind off 4 stitches at the beginning of the next 2 rows. So for bind off, I'm going to just put a BO, and I'm going to write 4 because that's how many stitches I'm doing. So on row 1, the first thing that I'm going to hit when I am looking at the right side row of a front of a top is the left armhole. So the first thing I'm going to do under left armhole column is to write in bind off 4 stitches. And my instructions tell me to do that for the next 2 rows. So I'm also, when I come back on the wrong side row, I'm working the right armhole. I'm going to bind off 4 there. Okay, and now we're going to continue filling in our chart for the armhole. We'll come back and do the neck shaping next. So we've done this instruction. Next line, then bind off 3 stitches at the beginning of the next 2 rows. So now we're going to bind off 3, bind off 3, I'm taking care of that one. Work decrease rounds a total of 4 times, and we're going to work them every row. So this means that for the next 4 rows, I'm going to be decreasing. And if I look at my decrease rows C and D, I can see that I'm decreasing only at the armhole edge because I'm doing armhole shaping here. So every row, 4 times, I'm going to decrease 1 stitch. So I'm going to be on row 5, I'm going to decrease 1 stitch. So I'm just going to write a minus sign. And it says every row a total of 4 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So now I'm ready to look at row 9. At the same time, begin neck shaping once you've worked 1.5. Well, that's neck shaping, so I'm not going to worry about that yet. I've gotten this one. Okay, work decrease row every other row 3 times. So I'm starting on row 9. And I'm going, I'm sorry, on these on each of these rows, I decrease on both the left and the right side. So I'm going to have dashes in both sides. Now I'm going to go every other row. So starting in row 9, I've got every other row. So there's 1, I'm going to skip a row. Then I'm going to do 1 and skip a row. And then I'm going to do 1 and skip a row. That's my decrease rows every 3 times. And now I'm ready to start on row 15. And now, work decrease rows every 4th row, but I have 0 times. So I'm not going to worry about this one. Don't have to do anything there. So that is going to be my armhole shaping for size 4. Now I need to come back in here and look at my neck shaping. So over here we said at the same time, begin neck shaping once you have worked 1.5 inches from armhole shaping. So in my gauge, I have 8 rows per inch. And so 1.5 inches is 12 rows. So I'm going to mark row 13. This is where I'm also going to look at beginning my neck shaping, just so that I know I'm not doing anything on my neck up to row 13. So what am I going to start doing on row 13? I'm going to place markers on both sides of the middle 14 stitches. middle 14, that means there's going to be 7 stitches on either side of my midpoint that I want to mark. So what I'm going to write on row 13 is place marker at 7. Place marker at 7. That way I know what I'm doing here. Okay, so maintaining the center panel and shaping, knit to the first marker, join a second ball of yarn, and bind off the stitches between the shaping markers and knit to the end of the row. So for row 14, we're going to bind off 7 and bind off 7. And now we're ready to work both sides. We're going to work them with separate balls of yarn just at the same time. So we're going to be working with the right neck and the left neck simultaneously. We're going to bind off 4 stitches at each neck edge one time. So now we're going to bind off 4, bind off 4. Then we're going to bind off 3 stitches, bind off 3, bind off 3. Then we're going to bind off 2 stitches, bind off 2, bind off 2. Now we're at row 4. Purl to 3 before the neck, decrease 1, move to other shoulder, decrease 1. So we're decreasing on both sides of our neckline on row 4. So we're just going to decrease 1. So we're just going to write a minus sign there. And then we don't do anything for row 5. Row 6, we're going to decrease 1 again. So we don't do anything for this row, and then we're going to decrease 1 again. And now we should have 50 stitches remaining, which means that we have 25 on each side. So let's see if we've achieved 25 on each side. Okay, so we need to decrease 33 stitches because we started with 58 and we want to end with 25. So this is how we're going to see what do we need to do. So if we bind off 4, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 14 stitches that we have removed from that side. And now let's look at how many we're removing from the neck. We don't count this place marker because we're not doing anything with that. 7, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So with this example, we've eliminated 34 stitches, but we only need to eliminate 33. So we can feel pretty safe in going up here and erasing that last decrease because that will get us exactly to our 33 stitches. So when you see work until you reach the stitch count, this is a really easy way for you to be able to look at this and say, okay, so when I start the armhole, I need to do rows 1 through 22, and my armhole and my neck shaping will be complete because that is the end of where I'm doing decreases on either the armholes or the neck. So this is how you can use this table. You can use it in any pattern that you're trying to calculate neck and armhole shaping. And again, it's derived from the Coco Knits method. And to me, it's a lot easier to understand because now you can visualize literally every single row of knitting and know exactly what you need to do.